Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this pistol that you see in my hands right here. This is the CZ P-10C. This pistol sort of stormed on the scene last year, and a lot of folks were really liking it, calling it the Glock killer and many other things. So we're going to get into that later on, of course. But this gun, I've had a ton of requests for, so we ordered one up from Big Daddy Unlimited. They sent it out, and I've been shooting the crap out of it for about 3 months now. So we are going to get into what I've found so far, what others have found, sort of discuss that, features of the gun, compare it to that Glock 19 that I know you guys want to hear about, and at the end we'll wrap it up with what we think of it overall. But first, we'll let the dogs take a look at it, and then get onto those details. Getting into the details of the pistol, we'll start here on the bottom and work our way up for some semblance of order. The magazines are 15 rounds, so you get a total capacity there of 16 rounds. If you carry the pistol with one in the chamber, the magazines appear to be well made. These do work in the P-07, however, CZ P-07 mags will not work in the P-10C. Apparently CZ is doing something about that and going to redesign the P-07 mags, but as of right now, that's not the case. They do not work in there, and these mags are relatively expensive, so that is going to be one of the downsides of this gun, and most CZ guns outside of the 75 for that matter. The frame itself is made of a Zytel infused polymer, very similar to other polymer frame guns out there. It's strong stuff, and you really don't have to worry much about it. It's not going to get corroded, or I've really never seen one crack or anything like that. So the Zytel infusion does make it nice and strong. It has a bit of a flare here on the bottom front, as you guys can see. And then also the mag well itself, if my camera will function there, has a bit of a flare to it as well to aid in the magazines going in there. Another thing that aids in the insertion of the magazine is this grip piece here, the back strap. When you go up there, you kind of hit it and it kind of pushes you right in, which is nice. So on that note, the back straps are interchangeable. We do have the large one on there. I tend to prefer a larger grip size due to my hand size, but for those of you guys with smaller hands, you can swap it out with a flat one there and set it up as you see fit. Now the texturing on the grip is very aggressive on the front and the rear. However, on the sides here, it's not as aggressive, and I think that was brilliant by CZ. And the reason is, when you're actually holding the pistol and firing the pistol, the recoil is going to make the gun go something like that. Of course, it'll just look much cooler in real life, but that's the way it's going to function. And the friction, of course, in your hand is primarily on the front strap and here on the back. So having it very grippy there is nice, and not as grippy there on the side, although it is probably still very similar to like a Gen 4 Glock, just to kind of give you guys an example in terms of texture. Not having it textured as much on the side is nice, because if you're carrying this inside the waistband, it won't rub your clothes and it won't rub your skin as much. So I really do like the way they went through and did the texture on this pistol. All in all, I'm a fan for sure. Field strip on the pistol is pretty simple stuff. Of course, we're always going to remove our mag first. I'll lock the slide to the rear there, make sure that we are empty. Let the slide go home, point in safe direction, pull the trigger, and then we're going to pull back slightly on the slide, release, and the slide should come forward. At this point, we're going to pull off our guide rod and spring, and then our barrel. A few things here. The guide rod and spring, or rather the guide rod is polymer, the spring, of course, is metal. Has that blue indication there. My guess is that's for 9mm, should other models come. Barrel here, you guys can see it's pretty beefy there in the lugs. Of course, it is cold hammer forged, has the CZ proof marks there on the side, as you would expect there from CZ. And then the slide, of course, has a nice fit and finish on the inside. No chatter marks, no tool marks, nothing I can see there. All in all, appears to be very well made. Reassembly is exactly the same, of course, just in the opposite order. So in terms of maintenance and stuff, it's right up there with most modern striker-fired pistols. Very, very simple, which is a good thing for sure. And we're done. The pistol is truly ambidextrous. So the mag release is ambidextrous, the slide release, slide lock is ambidextrous, as is the takedown levers, as you guys saw. So it's exactly the same on the right side as it is on the left side. So one thing to point out on that is that for the mag release, that can be a detriment for some folks. For me, it's not. And I recently reviewed the FN 509 and I had a problem with that, releasing the mag release. I'll show you here in a second. But with this, I don't have it. And it's just the way the pistol fits in my hand. So here's my grip. I come up, release the magazine, and it drops out without issue. On some guns, and for some people, I bet this gun's going to be the same way. Since the mag release is ambidextrous, when you push it from the right side or the left side, it actually comes out the other side. So for some people, you guys can see there on my hand is, it's not hitting my fingers. For some people, it might hit your fingers. So it's just something to be aware of. You might have to kind of rotate your finger off to hit that mag release. And the mag release is stiff. There's no getting around it. That mag release, you definitely have to hit it with some authority to drop the mag. The slide release on the pistol is nice. It's got some nice serrations there on both sides. However, as you guys can see, it doesn't protrude out far. And even if you're firing with that high thumb grip on there, it's not gonna be actuated, at least not in my case. And it's not gonna give you those failures to lock back the slide like some of the extended slide locks can do if you're using a modern thumb sport grip. So that is nice. Continuing on forward, we do have the checkering up here, which is often referred to as a memory pad for your thumb. So that's kind of where you want your thumb to be with most modern types of grips. Up front, we do have the accessory rail. This is a 1913 or Picatinny cut. So really any of your lights lasers out there that I'm aware of anyway will fit on there just fine. On the trigger guard, you guys can see we do have a little bit of texturing up front. For those of you that like to put your finger up there, you can do so and have a little bit of texturing. But the trigger guard itself, it's squared off, which I like, so that way if you want to run it against a barrier, you can do so without it slipping off. I would like it to be a little bit bigger for gloved shooting, but for non-glove shooting, I haven't had a problem with it. I haven't had my finger scrape on the bottom like I do sometimes with Glock. So all in all, not bad. One of the biggest selling points about this gun by far is this trigger. So the trigger has, of course, the trigger safety there. So that way if you don't push this little piece right here, the trigger will not actuate. So you can see I'm pushing it from the sides and not pushing that piece. Trigger won't break. Let's talk about the actual trigger. So here is our take up. You guys can see that there. Then we hit a wall. It's very defined. You know you're there as the shooter. And then we're going to press, break. The break is very, very crisp. It's exceptional for a striker fire pistol. And on my scale, it was going right around 4.3, 4.4 pounds. So for a striker fire gun, that's relatively light. So it's something to consider. It's very pleasant to shoot, and it definitely aids in accuracy. I know some folks might not be comfortable with it being a little bit on the lighter side. Again, just something to consider. I don't think it's dangerous at all, in my opinion. And the reset is very short. You guys are about to see it here. That's it. That's the reset. So very short reset. You can definitely get on this gun and fire it pretty darn quickly, pretty darn accurately, because it does have an excellent trigger. The slide has a nice black, matte, melanite / nitrided, nitrocarburized, whatever word you want to use for it, finish. And I found this finish has been very durable so far. Not seen any holster wear, even on the inside of the gun. Very little wear for the amount of rounds we have through the pistol. So definitely the finish is nice. It's going to give you good corrosion resistance with that nitrocarburization. It's also going to give you good surface hardness, and it wipes up relatively easily for cleaning. So all in all, cannot complain about that one. It does have some front serrations here. They are a little bit smaller than they are in the rear, but you are able to cycle the slide should you choose to do so with your front serrations. I like them. I do also like the fact that they cut the weight out there where they could. That's nice as well. The rear serrations also have a good amount of grippiness to them as well. The pistol comes with two different sight options that I'm aware of anyway. This one here has the night sights, so you have steel night sights with tritium inserts. On the front sight, we have that orange ring around it, sort of drawing your eye to it. And on the rear sight, we do have the white rings around it. And we have that U-notch, or squared off U-notch rather, rear sight picture. Some folks really like that, some folks don't. I'll leave that up to you guys. I like the square notch myself. However, if I could do anything about these sights, I would make these white outlines on the rear go away, because I think it would be a little bit easier to pick up the front sight if that was the case. But all in all, they're quality sights for sure. It has a nice ledge there for one-handed manipulation. And if you get the non-night sight version, the sights are aluminum, so they're not steel like these, but aluminum, in my opinion, better sight material than polymer, which some of the competitors offer, of course, that we'll get to here in a second. But all in all, the sights are good to go, and the slide seems very well made, well machined, and well fit. When this pistol was released last year, one of the big selling points was that it fit a lot of the holsters for Glocks. Now, of course, it's been out for a while and a lot of holster companies are making specific holsters for it, but I just kind of wanted to get into that a little bit. So this is one of my old Galco holsters I've had forever. Back in the day, I used to carry a Glock 30 in this, but I believe it's actually a Glock 19 holster itself. You guys can see there, of course, being leather, it fits in there very nice and actually looks like it's made to fit the gun. But with leather, that's not too big of a deal. Another Glock 19 holster I have here. This one's made by KCT, Kinetic Concepts Tactical, I believe. And you guys can see it actually snaps into place just like the Glock would. So in that regard, fits it pretty darn well. A holster you guys have probably seen me using throughout the review is this one here. It's the Priority 1 holsters made specifically for the CZ. They do offer a channel viewer discount, but one thing I like about this one being a specific holster made for it is that it does cover up that mag release there, so it makes it much harder, if not impossible, to accidentally bump your mag release and knock it off. That is something to be concerned with when you have ambi mag releases, in my opinion. So there is that. And then we have this other holster. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'm going to roll it in the bottom. And this one here is for the P-10C with the Enforce APL. Fits nice and snug in there. It's a nice inside the waistband holster option. So there are options out there for those of you guys looking to carry this pistol around for you. When CZ was designing this pistol, there's no doubt that this pistol was at the top of its mind. Of course, we have the Glock 19 here and the CZ. You guys can see here on the screen sort of how they stack up by a bunch of different metrics. That'll probably better explain a lot of them than I can here, showing the two of them side by side to you. But we're going to add a third here for this comparison. This is the 2.0 compact. We'll get to that here in just a second. But of course, all of these pistols hold 15 rounds in the mag and 1 in the chamber. They're all going to be pretty darn close in terms of size. If we line the backs of the slides up, you'll see the CZ's a touch longer than the Glock, and if I can kind of hopefully get them lined up at the top of the slides there as well, you'll see that the mag on the CZ sticks down just a touch more, and then the Glock 19 as well, but otherwise they're pretty darn similar in size, as you guys probably guessed from the fact that the holsters, a lot of them did fit. So you guys can see there again sort of how they stack up in terms of width. The CZ is a little bit more streamlined there, but it is a little heavier. And then here with the M&P 2.0, which wasn't out, I don't believe, when the CZ P-10 made its debut, you guys can see again sort of how those stack up. We'll line up the backs of the slides there. And again, the CZ is going to be a touch longer than the M&P 2.0. And again, exact same thing on the sides of it. You'll see that we'll line the slides up there. The CZ is a little bit longer there, and the grip as well. But overall, very similar in size with both of these pistols, as you guys can see. Now, in terms of grip angle, the CZ P-10C is sort of in between the two of these. So the M&P has a more 1911-ish grip angle, and of course the Glock has that sloped grip angle that you either love or you hate. The P-10C is kind of right in the middle. So if you're used to shooting Glocks, you're going to kind of have to pick your front sight up a little bit here with the P-10C. But if you're used to shooting like 1911s M&Ps, you're probably going to have to push it down a little bit on initial presentation. Now, of course, with time that will completely go away as you do more and more presentations, but it's just something to point out for those of you guys that have experience with each pistol. A few other points to touch on before we close it out. In terms of reliability, this pistol has been 100%. We've had a grand total of 0 issues at all from it. In terms of accuracy, it's been excellent. In my opinion, that's a combination of the good trigger and the good CZ Cold Hammer Forged barrels. I've never had a CZ that was inaccurate. This one, we shot a couple different groups, Federal HST 124 grains and Winchester Ranger 147 grain. Both of those were under 2.5 inches at 25 yards from rest with me behind it. We skipped that from the video just to kind of move it along, but you can take my word on it. There's plenty of other folks out there that have done some accuracy testing showing similar results. So in terms of accuracy, it's very, very good straight out of the box. Now, a couple things that I definitely need to talk about are going to be some torture tests out there that you guys have probably seen, that I've seen. I'm sure some of you guys have as well. Omaha Outdoors, they did one, and the pistol didn't do so well. They were having malfunction issues with it, where basically the striker would kind of rotate to the side, and that would cause the pistol not to go into battery. I've not had that issue at all. Not a single issue. It's been 100% reliable. So that's just something to note there. And then Military Arms Channel did a torture test, the gauntlet test as they call it, and Tim ran this through, sand, dirt, mud, water, etc. You guys can check that video out over there on the Military Arms Channel, and it did pretty well there. So kind of a tale of two different guns. Andrew over at Omaha didn't do so well. Tim's did really well. Mine has not been torch tested at all. It's been carried around, shot at the range with different types of lights on it, but that's about it. We cleaned and lubricated it when I got it in, and now we have about 900 rounds through it, and not a single malfunction. So that's normal use, combination of hollow points and mostly Minuteman ammunition, the polymer jacketed case stuff. It's ate them all up without issue. So that's what I can report there in terms of reliability. In terms of cost, one thing that's nice about this versus the Glock 19 for sure is that the MSRP on this is $100 less than the Glock 19 MSRP. Comes with better sights like we talked about, and the price point's very attractive. It feels good in the hand. And street price, this one here, I think right now when I checked over at Big Daddy Unlimited, which is where we got this pistol with the night sights, was like $435 or something like that. So it's a very affordable gun. And I should mention before moving on that this pistol was sent out for the test by Big Daddy Unlimited, so I do appreciate them sending it out. If you guys are unfamiliar, they're sort of a buyer's club, and that price that I just mentioned earlier, it's not their price. They don't set the price. Basically what they do is if you join, I think it's $9.99 a month, they allow you to purchase firearms, accessories, optics, etc. at distributor pricing. So whatever their distributors that they work with, and they work with like 20 of them, whatever they set the prices at, that's what you guys get it for, and they make money on the subscription. That's their model. It's kind of unique in the gun world, but we'll put a link down below where I can for those of you guys looking to check that out. But all in all, P-10C, very good gun in my opinion. I would have zero issues carrying it or using it as a primary defensive handgun. Would I replace all my Glocks with it? Probably not. It doesn't mean that other folks wouldn't prefer this or shoot this better than a Glock. I've been shooting Glock pistols now for over 20 years, and I'm very, very used to them. That said, if I was a brand new shooter and had never shot a Glock before, I bet I would prefer this over the Glock. The ergonomics I would think would be better, and the trigger is absolutely better. The sights are absolutely better. The Glock, of course, is a little bit more modular, a little bit easier to work on, and has, of course, at this point, shoot about a 35-year track record. So pros and cons to each, I would say both are very good guns. If you guys are on the fence and really like good triggers or something, this one's definitely the one to look at for sure. So if you guys have any questions about the gun, anything we didn't discuss here in the video, you can always post down below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. Generally speaking, that's the best way to get in touch with me. I tend to see those messages there much more than on YouTube or Full30 or other places. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed yet and you just found the channel through this video rather, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see all of you in the next video.